All right, guys, what's going on? How's everyone doing today? This is Johnny. It's Friday morning here in Sydney, Australia. As you guys are tapping in, let me know where you're coming from. Give the live stream a thumbs up, and we'll get this thing underway. We did 2 live streams yesterday, so if you missed either one of those live streams, they're currently up on our Johnny Says Boxing playlist. I also uploaded yesterday another breakdown to our fight prediction playlist, our Stats Don't Lie videos. So you guys have 3 of them. After this live stream, I'll be uploading my breakdown, prediction, and analysis of Reese Bellotti versus Padley. But right now, you got Ennis versus Lima. You have Allen versus Makhmudov. And then also Boston versus Fawaz. So those fights are up on the fight prediction playlist. And we could get this thing started. Like I said, I also, other than the Padley Bellotti fight, I also want to get to the Barrera Vianello fight. So you guys could, I'll leave the stage open to anybody who wants to talk about any of the fights, and we could get it going from there. I also want to mention, so it's 6:45 a.m. my time in Sydney. In 4 hours, I'll be going live with TJ from Chilltown Boxing. So my 10 a.m., which is in about 3 hours and 15 minutes, I'll be doing another live stream on my channel with TJ. I also want to aforemention that TJ and I purposefully, we haven't spoken all week. We sent like a message or so in the Discord, but all you guys in the Discord, you could see our correspondence. And we did this on purpose because we want, when we go live together, we want to start not having any sort of biased opinions just for the sake of you guys. So we don't want an echo chamber. I don't want to bring on somebody who agrees with my picks. I want to bring on somebody who, if we disagree on where our money is, I want to have a general sort of debate on it. So that's what this live stream with TJ is going to be. Like I said, that'll be in about 3 hours and 15 minutes. We still have about 48 hours from the fights. So generally, even on slow boxing weeks, we have fights happening tomorrow, right? But all the fights this week are happening on my Sunday, your Saturday, and it's only Friday. So we still have about 48 hours. I know some of you guys were asking me, did you put your picks up yet? I gave you guys, on the live stream this week, you guys know where I'm leaning, but nothing's been locked in yet. There's a couple underdogs that I really like, and there's a couple prop bets that I really like. And by this time of the week, we're kind of overthinking it, aren't we? So here we go. DJ Green, what's going on? Woo, what's up, David? David took Money Meech's salutation. Money Meech is usually the your. Kyle Hayden's in the house tapping in. So we'll get to this real quick. Let's look at some numbers. Let's see the current odds. Let's start with Boots. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the title in the video. Boots Lima, the money line. We've been looking at this all week. There's nothing on the money line that's going to get anyone too excited, unless you're an Usma Lima guy. Maybe you guys are in the camp of Lima and you get him at 13-1, and you're pretty much going to say, hey, I'm going to put $10 on Lima. Who knows what's going to happen? That's not what I'm doing. I told you guys I'm torn on 2 picks, either Boots by decision or Boots in the over. Boots by decision, and that's not to say Boots isn't going to stop him. I'm just saying if we're looking at value for our pick, if we're looking at a logical reasoning bet to find more, a better play, a riskier play, because Boots by knockout, guys, it's $1.26. I mean, he stops Lima. Everybody's going to say 2 things. He should have stopped Lima, and they're going to say to you, well, what's $1.26? It's not really a risky pick. Anyone saw that coming. You know what I'm saying? So I like looking at things a bit deeper. I've already kind of proved to myself a couple times this week and disproved to myself how Lima goes the 12 rounds. I talked myself into it once by using the Aaron McKenna analogy, and then I talked myself out of it by you guys on the live stream, right? So me talking myself out of Boots by decision at 450 led me to this bet. I like the over and under. I like 7.5, guys. I love this $1.89. So $100 on the over 7.5 gets me my money back plus 89 bucks. You could throw that on a parlay. A lot of guys are like, well, he's going to stop him early. He's going to stop him early. It's tough for me to see Lima getting stopped early. Lima's never been stopped. He's never been dropped. He's never been knocked down. So with all things considered, you mix that with Jaron Ennis not being a one-punch knockout guy. It's not like he's known for having these Deontay Wilder-esque knockouts. It's not like we've seen him at 154 before. It's not like we've seen him fight a southpaw before, really. There's a lot of things, guys, that kind of we could talk ourselves into or out of the picks. So I'm going to go David. We're going to get David on the show real quick. So David, as you see, David has the tick next to him. Guys, join our insider group. Johnny says boxing. The link is pinned here in the comment section below. You guys get priority on the live stream, which I do lives every day. You get priority on my channel. More importantly, you're in the Discord. So David's getting a feature here. David, what's up, buddy? I appreciate your support, by the way. He says, I was going to go heavy on Padley by knockout. Had only studied Reese versus Gardner. Kind of liking Reese now. Do you think his output would bother Padley? Reese is busy. See, this is the thing, David, and everything you bring up is mentionable. When you look at Reese Bilatti's tape, if you guys look at the receipts and you guys could go back 3 months and it's on my Stats Don't Lie video, I did Reese Bilatti versus Ryan Gardner. And if you find the Reese Bilatti versus Ryan Gardner breakdown, the week of, just like this is the week of, I was saying exactly what David was saying. I was leaning towards Reese. I was saying that Gardner, man, I don't see anything on Gardner's resume. I don't know how locked in he is. Reese Bilatti, he's been in the game for a while. He's been in there with better guys. And then the more I watched the current version of Bilatti, and was paying attention to like career trajectories, the energy a fighter brings into the ring, I flip-flopped midweek, which I was fortunate of, and I went with Gardner. I picked Gardner to stop him. And that was all based on, and in my video, I talked about the willingness of Bilatti. Does Bilatti want to be there? What is Bilatti fighting for? Is he still fighting to be a champion, even a British champion? What is he fighting for? So when you put that into consideration, I think the odds are pretty fair. I think Bilatti should be the underdog. And going into the week on Monday, I did mention, I said, are we overlooking Reese Bilatti? Once I did the film study, once everything considered, Josh is $1.31. I don't think will Bilatti's volume be an issue for Padley. I think Padley's going to have the speed advantage, and I think he's more accurate. So I think Padley's counterboxing and his ability to frustrate Bilatti will be a sort of ever-long narrative in this fight. And the longer the fight goes, I feel Bilatti will start to kind of fall apart in terms of, his game plan. And that's why I'm not too mad. I don't see Reese beating Padley. Like, there's a couple reasons why. A, I don't think at this version of Bilatti, he's better than Padley. I don't think he's going to... I question, like I say, his willingness to actually fight. It is weird to me that they gave Padley Bilatti, who was coming off an L. That's weird to me. I said that all week. I thought we were going to see Padley versus Gardner. But the $1.31, I've learned from my mistakes. I'm posting my long parlay after this live stream. What I'm doing moving forward, guys, so my long parlay and my sort of prop bets don't interject. I'm probably going to take on a single standalone ticket Padley by knockout at 440 and leave him off of my long parlay, because the last thing I want to do is the upset to happen. Take Padley by knockout. Let's say he loses a decision or Reese knocks him out, and then I also have Padley on my money line long parlay, and just like that, 2 tickets are dusted. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's happened in the past. And for all the bettors who are learning how to bet, I say that I offer that as advice. Try not to cross-pollinate your bets, whether they're standalone prop bets or whether they're long parlays. Even if you think there's a lock, remember, guys, in boxing, there is no such thing as a lock. Brendan, what's up, buddy? Adu, Axel picking Bilatti too. Take that what you will. I mean, I think Axel's missing that one. I'm going to disagree with him on that one. Boxing fan in the house. I see you. Has Lima been knocked down before? Nope. Lima been going, getting stopped. Lima being going to get stopped just in like round 10. So over 7.5 seems good. 20 in the chat. Let's hit the likes, guys. Let's get the likes up. I'm going to feature another question from one of our insiders. Adam Arciola, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, says, what's your opinion on Guido Vianello? So Guido Vianello is taking on Alexi Barrera. We've been talking about this fight all week. I'll be uploading my breakdown prediction on my Stats Don't Lie playlist either today or tomorrow. I watched an amateur fight with Alexi Barrera. It was when he was trying to go after, I think it was in 2024. He was attempting to become an Olympian. We watched his last fight, an 8-rounder. And I'm going to say what I've been saying all week. For the first 30 seconds of each round, Alexi Barrera looks good. For the first 30 seconds of each round. Everything from his aggression, he plays the part. He looks the part. For the first 30 seconds to a minute. He's accurate with his shots. He throws everything straight down the pipe. He's aggressive. Then after that, though, after you see his opponent throw a little pushback, not stand in front of him, you start seeing him overswing. You start seeing him get out on his front foot. The thing about Guido Vianella is Guido Vianella will be Alexis Barrera's best opponent. This is Alexi Barrera's step up. This isn't Guido Vianella's step up. Guido Vianella's been in there with some good guys. Guido Vianella stopped Arslanbek. Arslanbek is main eventing in England in Sheffield against Dave Allen. Guido Vianella, we just saw him lose against Kiki Torres. But guys, I think Kiki Torres is a potential future American heavyweight champion. So that's no shade to lose to Kiki. Now, granted, I think if Kiki fights Guido in 5, if that fight wouldn't have happened last year and it would have happened a little bit later in Kiki's maturation, because he's still young, I think Torres stops him, but he didn't, and they went to the decision. So my point is, Guido can box. He has some class about him. He can move around. People are going to say, yeah, he doesn't like fighting in the pocket. Well, have you looked at Alexi's resume? Is there anything in that resume you guys like? So to answer your question, Adam, I like Guido Vianella on the money line. You give me him at plus 210, $100, gets you your money back, plus $110. That's one of my potential. It's an upset of the week. When we talk about Johnny, what's your upset of the week? What's your dog of the week? We're talking about odds. Whenever the odds are, you have an underdog, even if it's by a couple, some coin, it's still an upset. So I like Guido there at plus money. Brendan, boots to win, under 1.5 knockdowns. It's boots to win, under 1. Yeah. Boss Marbs, 88, Dave Allen, Guido parlay. I like it. Yep. Left work early to catch the lives. Let's get this bag. Evie, 44 ounces. 44 ounces to freedom. Boxing fan, I think Matchroom owed a feeding Padley after they fed him to Shakur. Okay, boxing fan in the house. Boxing fan's my guy. He's the one who spearheaded this campaign of doing live streams and starting our Discord. So boxing fan, I appreciate you. I tell you that every live stream. I can't thank you enough. But he brings up a good point. He's answering my question. I said, why? It's kind of, with where Padley's going, I'm not usually a guy. What I was saying was, I'm not usually a guy who likes fighters who are coming off losses, celebrating them. So people talk about Padley versus Chambers or Chamberlain, but it wasn't like Padley was a household name. He became a household name after getting stopped in the 9th round against Shakur. And then, he went 9 rounds with Shakur, but it's not like he's fought since then. He had another fight since then against, I think an Italian guy, got him out of there. And when you're thinking about how a fighter's being lifted or promoted, you're thinking about momentum and trajectory. When he says he thinks Matchroom is feeding him after they fed him to Shakur, I get it, but they already fed him a guy. You know what I'm saying? They already fed him old mate. I think Matarico, I think was his last name. I just question the Bellotti matchup, just only because Bellotti's coming off of a loss. That's it. But you're probably right. Matchroom does some interesting things. You guys got to remember, Dave Allen, the guy who's headlining on this card against Arslanbek. He was signed with Matchroom back in the day, and they let him go and they cut him after Dave Allen. After Dave Allen got stopped against Fraser Clark, he loses everything, guys. This is how effed up boxing is. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna highlight this because it says Dave Allen. After Dave Allen gets stopped against Fraser Clark, his promoter drops him, his manager drops him. He literally, from a boxing perspective and a career trajectory perspective, loses everything, right? He goes from headlining to fighting in 4-round fights in like a local pub. You can't even find footage. He did 2 4-rounders in a local pub. And it's like, what do you know, this guy, I guess at 30, he was only 31. We know heavyweights have prolonged careers. What's the last thing to leave us as men as skills is power. Power stays long, man. George Foreman, I always use that as a great reference point. One of my favorite statistics of all time is George Foreman. From the time he lost his heavyweight title, Foreman, he retires for 10 years, and it took him another 10 years. You know, he didn't retire after the Ali fight. He took a couple fights after, then he retired. But he retires for a decade, and then when he came back, it took him another decade to become a world champion again. By that time, he was in his mid-40s. My point is, people threw Dave Allen away at 31 years old. So he builds himself back up, you know, laces them up again, wins a couple 4-rounders, fights Johnny Fisher twice. We saw what happened in the first fight. Johnny Fisher was the Matchroom guy. Johnny Fisher was the new heavyweight. Johnny Fisher was the A-side. In the first fight, Allen drops Fisher in the 5th round. Fisher recoups, and then Allen loses a split decision. They give him the rematch, and we know what happened in the rematch. Dave Allen stopped him. And now here we are. So Matchroom, to get to my point, Matchroom does have, and then after Dave Allen stopped Fisher, Eddie Hearn jumps into the ring, you could see it, and signs him right back. So the move with, I bring this up because we were talking about Padley. Why is Padley fighting Bellotti off of an L? I guess you're right. They make their own rules. You know, the day and age of career trajectory and climbing the ladder. I guess it doesn't hurt to climb the ladder off of a local name. Bellotti does, I think, have the bigger sort of resume name in the UK than Gardner. So I do kind of see that. Bellotti sort of has, even though Gardner beat Bellotti, Bellotti's kind of done more. I think he's older. So maybe you beat Bellotti. You see if you could stop Bellotti because Gardner stopped Bellotti, and then you build the fight. Yeah, so it does make sense, actually, since we talked through it. So shout out to the chat. Robert Floss, I'm going to highlight his. Robert Floss is another insider. Appreciate you, my mate. Laguna Beach in the house. Orange County. I was telling my boy, one of my boys on the chat who is a New Yorker who's visiting Orange County, LA County a couple weeks ago. And he sends me a message, a video. We jump on a chat. He was staying in Newport, and he was like, dude, people on the East Coast, they talk about LA. It's so crime riddled. He was like, I don't see any of it. I'm like, bro, you're in the orange curtain, baby. I was like, once you pass Long Beach is the last county in LA County on PCH. Once you pass Long Beach on PCH and you take a Pacific Coast Highway and you hit Seal Beach, you hit Sunset Beach, you go past like Bolsa Chica, you get to Huntington, you keep going, and you eventually get to Newport and then Laguna. I was like, notice if you were taking the 405 and not PCH, if you're taking the 405 down that way to go to Orange County, there are no exit ramps to get off to get gas. And I was explaining this to my buddy. I was like, why? Because Orange County is a red county in a blue state, and 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was purposely architecturally designed not to have gas stations off of the exits to deter non-locals from stopping in Orange County. This is why it looks different. I was like, you want to see what LA is? Go to fucking punk-ass Hollywood Boulevard and then call me back. But anyway, Robert Floss, if Padley can handle the lower weight class, he should be fine. Yeah, it's good. It's good to say. It's a good point, the weight class. It's I just think Padley's going to have too much energy, too much class, too much timing. I think he's going to have the speed advantage. Bellotti, I don't like the quick turnaround. Also, you got to mention that 3 months ago, goes 12 rounds, gets stopped. Wasn't knocked out unconsciously. He did get stopped, though, and it was 12 weeks ago. And I was kind of shocked that they made that announcement that he was getting the Padley fight. So, dare I say cashing him out? I don't know. Heaven Sent, been a while, man. Came back. You upgraded with the StreamYard. Felt like months. Yeah, Heaven Sent. I had to do the StreamYard earlier in the week because things were slipping on my end. Reese is also promoted by Frank Warren. Pally by Eddie. Frank does not feed his fighters to Eddie, but he will feed them to his own roster. Echo Esmond versus Josh, both Queensberry. Good point. David Padley is eaten completely. Let's go Bum Equipment real quick. Bum Equipment made it to the live stream. What's up? I have to say somebody in the chat told me to watch Ortiz versus Boacek because he said it was an all-out war. It was not. Yeah, so Ortiz versus Boacek, it's kind of a side chat. We could talk about that. I mean, we'll be talking about Ortiz versus Boacek very soon because Ortiz is fighting Erickson Lubin in a month. But we could that'll be a bit of a side quest chat. Let's go to Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent. Allen had a split decision with Fisher and dropped him. Knock Malbrulia the rematch. Wardley dropped Frazier. Had to draw Malbrulia, knock him out in the rematch. So yeah, it's gonna come down to if somebody were like Johnny, what, like, because I'm picking Dave Allen. I'm picking Dave Allen, but with the heavyweights, anything can happen. Am I super like confident Dave Allen's gonna win? No. I would say the same thing though if I was taking Arslanbek. You know, here's the odds. It's currently a 50-50 now. You know, if we would have put money on this fight 4 days ago, Dave Allen was the underdog, and now money has come in. And so money has come in on Dave Allen. It's now a coin flip. $1.96, 100 on either fighter gets you your money back, plus $96. So it's almost 1-1. The thing is, like I said, if I was taking Arslanbek, I wouldn't be confident. If I'm taking Allen, I'm not confident. They're heavyweights. We know the thing is, we know what Arslanbek wants to do. Did you guys watch the press conference? Let's see if this will mess it up. If I bet you this freezes my screen, or I might get copywritten strike. But if you watch the press conference, Dave Allen on Matchroom Boxing YouTube, Dave Allen was basically giving away his game plan. Dave Allen was talking about how, he was super authentic, and I put this up in the Discord. Dave Allen and Arslanbek's right there. Dave Allen's like, yeah, what's going to happen is Arslanbek has one gear. He's going to come forward. He was like, in all of my opponents, he was like, I want people to fight me. He says, I feel nobody can beat me in a fight. He was like, not boxing, but a fight. He was like, Johnny Fisher. He was like, he tried fighting me, and we saw what happened. He also said that if Arslanbek doesn't get him out of there in 3 rounds, from the 4th round onwards, that's where he gets him. That's where he gets him out. But I mean, you get 9 minutes. If that's your mindset, your psychology, your mentality, the first 9 minutes of a fight with a guy who's 6'6", and you're just going in there sort of adhering to the fact that I'm just trying to survive. He said that. So make what you will about those comments. One would say he was being tongue-in-cheek, but Dave Allen, he's a funny guy. He's also very transparent, very authentic. It's kind of why he has his social media following is pretty big because of that. People, I think in this day and age of boxing and all things in life, I think we kind of sort of, people who are authentic, it speaks to us in a world of the lack of authenticity, a world of plastic surgeries, a world of filters, a world of, bling bling and people trying to front and people trying to floss. When you see a boxer who is that authentic talking about, yeah, I could get knocked out, as a better, it does kind of give me hesitation a bit. But that's where my money's at. My money's on Allen on the money line. Let's see. Will the fight go the distance? Probably not good odds. $1.28. So interesting thing about this bet is that the Jaron Ennis, will Jaron Ennis win by stoppage is $1.26. And will this fight go the distance? No, is $1.28. You put those two together, that's $1.50. You put 10,000 on that, you get 5,000 back. So, I mean, I know guys who bet that way because I don't think this fight goes the distance. But the thing is, Dave Allen said in the presser, he thinks he's going to win a decision. So if you look at, that's another thing he said. He said he was going to win a decision. If Dave Allen is right and he wins a decision, That's 625. Dave Allen on points is 625. So it just this is the time where we overthink. Dave Palumbo would be proud of my gut. I missed sit-ups today. I've interviewed Dave Palumbo before. He's an old bodybuilder. He'd be proud of my gut. Oh, Rambler's my guy, dude. People don't know how to take Rambler's comedy. Rambler's a funny guy. Mead Ola, how you feel about the over 6.5 for Allen fight, or would you stay? How you feel about the over under 6.5? Ooh. What do you guys think about this one? Mead Ola, how do you feel about the over and under 6.5 for Allen? Or would you say, how do you feel about the over under 6.5? Would you stay away? Let's see what the odds are. Okay, so my odds I'm getting are 5.5. So the odds I'm getting are 5.5. $1.75 for the over, $1.96 for the under. Now, I think those are riskier bets. I mean, I could just take Dave Allen on the money line and I get the better odds than the over, and he just has to win. Either guy's $1.96. So it just depends on what you feel more comfortable doing. You could take the under and just wish for bloodshed. It could happen, guys. This fight could be over in the first minute. This could happen. Arslanbek could win this fight in the first round. He can. But the thing is, you have to remember, guys, Dave Allen has never been down on the canvas. This is something that when you look at Dave Allen's box rec, let me show you something. Actually, I'm not using BoxRec because it always crashes my laptop. I'm going to use Tapology. Here's something for you guys. Check this out. So, Dave Allen has 7 losses, right? Of those 7 losses, he's been knocked out 4 times. He got stopped against Fraser Clark. The head scratcher against David Price. Tony Yoka, head scratcher. And then Luis Ortiz, right? But my point is, Dave Allen's never been to the canvas. So he's never been dropped, and he's never been knocked out unconscious. Why is that significant? That's significant because you don't really see a lot of under 5.5 corner stoppages. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see a lot of under. This is if you're going Arslanbek. You don't really see a lot of under 5.5 ref waving it off. And then the question is, do I see Dave? I don't like the over and under in this, guys. I think the money line juice on both guys because $1.96 is good enough. It just depends on where you're going. Look, Dave Allen's fighting at home, Sheffield. He's with a good camp. He's looking lean, mean. I'm leaning on Allen. I'm living with it. I'm living and dying with Dave Allen. He screwed me in 2 fights too. Watch this. This will be I bet against him against Johnny Fisher twice. No, I bet on him the first time against Fisher. He lost a split. And the second time against Fisher, I took Fisher and he gets knocked out. So put it this way, if Dave Allen loses and he doesn't retire, he goes on my no bet list. So this is it for me and Dave Allen. This is me and Dave Allen's coup de grace. This is me and Dave Allen's sort of one last hurrah. If he goes out and loses and he doesn't retire, Dave Allen is on my no bet list. I add Dave Allen to Omar Figueroa, Brandon Figueroa. I add Dave Allen to any Olympian with under 12 fights. I add Dave Allen to any UK fighter who's fighting a Mexican fighter on UK soil when the Mexican fighter has over 35 pro fights. You guys get the point. I add Dave Allen to the French white fighters. You guys get the point. Do you think Ibrahim Suleiman and Connor Tudsbury are the real deal? I got to do more work on him, Manny. I can't just sit here and answer that off jump. The real deal. It's a good question, man. Who we got to have some gauge. What's our gauge on who the real deal is? Guys, we're 30 minutes into this live chat. Let's like this video. If you haven't already subscribed to this video, if you're not an insider, click the link that's pinned in these comments. It's a couple bucks a month. It's like, it's like what? I'll do an old 1980s hunger feed a starving child pitch for you. For only 14 cents a day, you could join our Johnny Says Boxing Insider group. You'll get access to our Discord and become a member. Click that link, guys, and like the video. DJ Green, 3 times the charm. Dave gonna get busy. Dave looks like he's gonna be eating. I'm not bored at work no more. I joined the stream. Tyler Randolph, what's up, big fella? Tyler, where's your money at? Keys of B. Vasoli and Ibrahim, my favorite UK prospects. They both box this Saturday. Yeah, they do. Here's the question, guys. What do you guys make of Vasoli? Is Vasoli the real deal? Because I'm watching. If you guys were watching the Matchrooms, their week-long media sort of YouTube, even today, every time Dave Allen gets the microphone, Dave Allen won't promote himself. He promotes these guys. He promotes Joe Hayden and Joe Haworth every time. He did it again today. And I don't know how much of that is him sort of, dismissing the attention on himself, but he's selling tickets. He's like, yeah, Joe Hayden and Joe Haworth are both on these fights. I know they're both from where he's from. So are they the real deal? I also hear people saying Vasoli. Is Vasoli the real deal? Hayden's a huge favorite. Haworth's a huge favorite. Suleiman's a huge favorite. Tutsbury's a huge favorite. Vasoli's a huge favorite. So all the boys mentioned, the chat mentioned, I mentioned Hayden, I mentioned Haworth, both huge favorites. So maybe this is our we could do a prospect parlay, boys. Let's do that. We're gonna do a prospect parlay right now, and I'll post it. So our prospect parlay, we'll go Hayden money line, Haworth money line. These odds are probably gonna be shit, but we're gonna see what we get. Tutsbury money line, Suleiman money line. I don't know who Hamza Udin is. I'm gonna put Palmieri. I've seen Justin fight once. Dennis Thompson. See, Zachwin Moses. I think Zay. Some people call him Zay. Some people call him Z. Zachwin Moses, cousin of Shakur. I think he's a real deal. My man is a slick boxer, but he's mean. I like Moses. He's $1.03 though. Doesn't really do nothing to our parlay. Tamir Smalls. I think Smalls is on upset alert, boys. Like, as quiet as it's kept, I think Tamir, I'm not saying he's going to lose, but you give me Roman Vasquez at 5-1 odds. People are sleeping. I think people are sleeping on Roman Vasquez. I know somebody's going to take the dog in that fight. And Vasoli $1.04. All right, we got to see a 7-leg $1.54. That doesn't do shit for us, does it? So our prospect parlay, 7 legs, it's $1.54. We got to add something to that. What I'm going to do is probably go to Bet365 and see if they give us method of victory props, because Sportsbet doesn't give us method of victory props here. Or yes, they do. Does Vasoli get the knockout, guys? Vasoli on points or Vasoli by decision? Let's hear it. I don't think Vasquez will win. Don't need to add nothing. That's an easy 54%. That is an easy 50. Manny R is right. Let's stick with it. So on our prospect parlay, boys, 7 legs, you get 54% return. You put a sneaky hundo, you get 54. You put 10 G's, you get 5,400. You guys could do simple maths. 1,000 gets you $540. Let's go. Yeah, DJ, Vasquez won't win, but I'm thinking that, it could be worth a little cheeky sprinkle out here. Apparently, Vasoli punched Carmel up in sparring. He's been calling out Carmel. Does Guido Vanello get the knockout? Tyler Randolph says, does Guido Vanello get the knockout? I'm going to post our prospect parlay in the Discord, by the way, and you guys just heard what it. 7 leg, 154. We're going to move on now. We're going to go to Guido Vanello and those odds. The thing is, with Guido's style, we've seen him. He doesn't have a massive knockout to win ratio, but we've seen him knockout artists before. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. Give me 1 second. Guido the Gladiator Vianello, 13-3. Let's share this tab real quick. Okay. So Guido's 13-3, one draw. The question is, does Guido get the knockout? Let's do a little bit of he's coming off a loss. He's coming off a decision loss to Kiki. But look right here. Damn, my second screen is super slow. It's like a 5-second delay out here. Okay, so he knocked out Arslanbek. I think it was in the doctor stopped it in the 8th. He lost the decision to F.A. Ajagba, which is F.A.'s a beast. But then he knocked out Moses. I think he does. I think he does. I think his class. I think these odds are wrong, guys. I'm still shocked that Barrera is the favorite. What am I seeing? What am I not seeing, guys? What am I not seeing? Barrera's resume is terrible. Barrera's game plan is horrible. Barrera gasses. He has, like I said, he's good for like 30 seconds of each round. He's an accurate puncher when he's not gassing. But Guido's been in there with really tough guys, dude. Guido by knockout, 380. Man, somebody's gonna make a lot of money this weekend. There is a lot of money to be made this weekend, and it's just gonna come down to it's just gonna come down to who gets it right. These odds, this weekend is made for us to eat, guys. These odds are made for us to eat. Somebody's gonna make a lot of money this weekend, so it just depends on who gets it right. The only GK Tyler looks to me like Alexis is a tip-tap puncher. He has clumsy feet. I think Vianello takes an easy decision. And that's the thing, only GK. So, guys, we're still on the question, does Guido stop Alexi? It just depends on how greedy you want to get. I think the odds have this wrong, so why not just take Guido on the money line at plus money? You know, he's already on the money line. Like, he's already at plus money, and that's generally my rule of thumb when I'm betting, is that if I'm taking a dog at plus money, I don't need to get sexy. I generally will get sexy if it's, a guy that is going to wash a guy and I want to juice the odds up. Ennis by decision, Ennis by knockout. I'm close to taking Ennis by decision, guys, at 450. I could see a path of a decision. Lima's never been dropped. He's tough. But then again, when you look at Lima's style, front forward, Lima is tailor-made for Boost's style. He is front forward, wants to be in a dogfight, slugfest, doesn't move his head. Jaron, we just got to see Jaron's speed. Because what makes Jaron great at 47 is everything, right? But let's say he does everything that he does at 47, but he loses his speed. Because it's that speed at 47 that allows him to angle change and catch you with a shot you don't see. It's that speed at 47 that allows him to slip counter you, exit, angle, boom, counter. Like that sort of thing. He's not only countering you there, he's also frustrating you there. He's getting you out on your front foot. So Lima doesn't fight like Chukachin. Lima fights like Stanionis, if you don't know. Lima's a front foot guy. Lima's a thick dude, a big puncher, never been dropped. His only loss is to McKenna at 160. He went up a weight class, took on Aaron McKenna. I think Aaron McKenna is a future world champion. I do. Aaron McKenna took him on 4 days' notice, went the distance, 10 rounds with him. So there is a narrative for me to sprinkle something on Boots by decision. But It's going to come down to if Boots carries that speed 7 pounds up. I mean, 7 pounds. Have you find 3.5 dumbbells? Put 3.5 pound dumbbells in each hand and punch with them. I know it's not sort of like there's no science behind it. The facts are my speed here is going to be different than if I'm holding 3.5 pound dumbbells, right? There is going to be a little bit of a difference. You know, people are like, you know, he was dehydrating himself to make 47. So he's going to be more full. He's going to be more rehydrated. So the power, you know, I expect the power to still be there. But it's the speed that I'm kind of we got to look for. It's the speed. Speed kills, guys. We know that. Victor Postal was fighting this weekend. Shout out. That's wild. Postal's fighting this weekend. There's another guy fighting this weekend. There's another guy who isn't Karen Chukachin, I think, is fighting. So we got Victor Postal fighting this weekend. I'm pretty sure Karen Chukachin's fighting this weekend too. Don't waste your money. Shadow box with 3-pound weights after a 5-mile run. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Yenli's fighting this. Yenli Hernandez is fighting this weekend, which is wild. Every time I think of Yenli Hernandez, I'm like, high guard. High guard. Lima stiff, throws punches with his feet, locked in the ground. I expect Boots to make him miss a lot. Take advantage of it. Yeah, same. Brutal stoppage. Early or late. Keys of B, represent. Where them killers at. 3rd Ward, South Side. It's a little bit of a no-limit throwback. Keeza says, Boots going to be better at 54. He was drained at 47. Same with Hamza. Yeah, he was drained, man. Hamza was, you know, cutting a lot at 60. 7 pounds, man. 47 to 54. I mean, people are going to say it's not that big of a jump. I mean, 7 pounds is 7 pounds, dude. You know, there's a reason why, you know, Errol fought his entire career at 47. He stayed in one weight class. So it used to be a thing. You know, not every guy, not every sort of frame could go up and down. It's why you never see fighters drop and win world titles. Isn't that crazy? Here's a little fun fact for you. I don't, you know, you're going to have to fact check me. But Australia had a champion, Anthony Mundine. Anthony Mundine was an exceptional 2-sport athlete in Australia. People don't talk about him enough. He was one of the best NRL rugby players in his era. And, you know, he's the son of Tony Mundine, another Aussie boxing legend. His father, Tony Mundine, in the 1970s, fought the likes of Carlos Monzon, Benny Briscoe, Emil Griffith. So Anthony, the son, Chalk, comes from great pedigree. This guy won championships and titles going down. That's a stat when people talk about boxing. I always throw Anthony Mundine's name in there because I'm like, you don't see it. You don't see fighters who win you don't see multiple, you know, fighters winning titles going down weight classes. You always see it going up. And Boxing, I'm the colonel of this motherfucking tank. Big good. I think Boots gained 7 pounds. He's going to have more on his punches. I do see him slowing down a tiny bit, but still enough to get the stoppage. DJ Green. DJ says, I think Boots gaining 7 pounds. He's going to have more on his punches. I do see him slowing down a tiny bit, but still enough to get the stoppage. Okay. When he was at 47, when we broke down Ennis versus Stanionis, when we broke down Ennis versus Chukachin, Ennis versus Ava, even going back to Ennis versus Lipnitz, one of the things that I would always say on Ennis's tape was that I wasn't comfortable with how much he wastes. He wastes a lot. You know, he's gotten more efficient. You know, it was never like, you know, think about what Josh Kelly used to look like, how much Josh would waste. And then Josh learned his lesson when he came over to Philly his only time in America, and he kind of got touched up against Ray Robinson. They gave him a draw, and then he then gets beat by Ava. And then the version now of Josh, he's still reflex guy, but he doesn't waste nearly as much. I reference that is because that takes a lot of energy. Your energy expenditure in boxing generally needs to be the most efficient thing about your game. Everything needs to be precise. Don't wait. My coach, don't waste anything. Everything needs to have intention on it. Boots, part of what makes Boots is that sort of style. It has to be addressed at 54. Will we see a little bit more of a in the pocket guy? Not, a more condensed version of that style, or will we see what we always see? Mar the Prince, Ohio in the house. OH. Johnny, doesn't Coach Bermudez train Armando Martinez, Rabi, and Yenli Hernandez? He does. He's got an eventful week. Coach Martinez is in this chat. Coach Martinez is a Johnny says boxing insider. He's in our Discord. He does have a busy week. He also coaches Polanco. I'm pretty sure he coaches Rabi, Yenli, and Polanco. Polanco's not fighting this weekend. I brought Polanco up yesterday on the live stream, and some of the boys were kind of like, are you guys not believers in Rohan at 47? People, I get kind of a mixed bag. Some people I bring Rohan Polanco's name up to, they think that Rohan's a future world champion. And then yesterday on the live stream, people were kind of pushing back on that premise. I'm pretty interested in what you guys have to say. The only GK, his speed, stamina, and power will be better than we've ever seen, just like Bud. Don't be fooled by weight classes when it comes to Boots. He is different. We will see the best Boots we've seen yet. Okay. The only thing I'm going to disagree with, well, I mean, this is very subjective, only GK. So I'm not going to disagree with you based on, your adoration for Boots, because I'm a Boots fan too. But what you said, I'm going to push back on is his speed, stamina, power will be better than we ever seen, just like Bud. No. The version of Bud at 35 and 40, Bud's best version was at 40. The version of Bud at 40 is not the version at 68. The version at 68 is an educated, well-versed, experienced, seasoned veteran, one of the greatest of his era, problem solving and reading his opponent, what he did to Canelo. It wasn't a guy who was relying strictly on speed, stamina, and power. He was operating in such a classy, professional, masterful, savant-like way. So I wouldn't say that, as Bud moved up, he got quicker, stronger, with more stamina. I just feel like he moved up and he was able to be successful because of his fight IQ and his experience. What's up, Havelock? Havelock in the house. The Mayweather. Haven't seen you on the live. I like Rohan. I like Rohan too, man. I think Polanco's that dude. I think Polanco still has a pretty big upside too. Rohan would beat Barrios and Raleigh. This is insane, guys. Name the 47 world champions, right? You got Crocker. No shade to Lewis Crocker. Lewis Crocker is a dude that if all the boys here, if we were out at a pub and, we're traveling, we happen to pop into where Lewis Crocker's from, I think Crocker's the type of dude who would sit down and drink with us. He's probably a guy that we would party with, and then he wouldn't even tell us he was a fighter, and then we would find out later this guy's a pro, and you'd be like, holy shit, dude, you're even cooler than I thought you were. You're a pro fighter. Like, Lewis Crocker seems like a pretty cool dude, pretty savage type of cat. So I'm not shading him, but I felt like Lewis Crocker lost to Patty Donovan, right? So Crocker's a champion, Barrios is a champion, Rowley is a champion, and Brian's a champion at 47. We know Brian's fighting Devin in a month. We know Rowley and Barrios. I think Rohan Polanco, I'd like to, Polanco versus Barrios would be a good fight. Actually, Polanco versus Lewis Crocker would be a good fight. But when you're thinking about the pecking order at 47, a dark horse, and I mean, Karen Chukachin is fighting this weekend. I think Karen beats Crocker. I think Karen beats Raleigh. I think Karen beats Barrios. I'd love to see Karen versus Brian. I don't think we'd ever see that fight. And then at also 47, another fighter that Stanionis. I think Stanionis and Raleigh would be fireworks. You know what I'm saying? Like, to see both Stanionis, I would probably take Stanionis to beat Raleigh. Stanionis versus Mario. Mario, his height and his length would probably bother Stanionis, and I think that Boots kind of gave the blueprint on how to beat Stanionis. But if you're not an athletic guy, you're not going to get away with what Boots got away with. I think that Stanionis would beat Raleigh, and him versus Crocker. So yeah, 47 isn't really too top heavy. I fuck with Croc. I forgot about Crocker. What's up, high interest? Lima's main defense is that high guard. I like high. You guys know I like a high. I like guys with high guards, and I like body punchers. So when you see like Bam, when Bam's like this, bah, 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 I'm all about it. Lima doesn't go to the body too much. Lima does fall into the trap of head hunting, though. I'm talking about physicality, high interest. Crocker would give a few lines. You know he would. You know Crocker would. Crocker would be fun to go out with, man. Those UK boys are on some. Tyler says I'm high on Rohan Adu. So in summary, what are Johnny's picks for this weekend? They're coming, Adu. Boys, we're still brainstorming. I gave you my. We already did a parlay just now. Rewind this 20 minutes. I did my prospect parlay. That's a new feature on the channel. Shout out to the chat. We got Johnny says boxing's prospect parlay. It's a 7-leg, $1.54. 10,000 gets you your money back plus 5,400. Let's go. I'm also going to give you my long parlay, upset of the week. We got our method of victory parlay, and we got one more. Stanionis would beat Raleigh. Raleigh don't do well with pressure. Adam, what's your opinion on Guido fight? I think we covered that, Adam, but I want to get to some of the other boys' comments, and I'll revisit that, Adam. Sal's Blog Talk, appreciate you in the chat. What's good, Johnny? When are they going to give us Kelly versus Murda? I know, man. I know. They've been flirting with Joshua Kelly versus Murtazawa for a while. This is controversial. I always say this whenever the name is brought up. I don't think Bakram Murtazawa is the guy everybody thinks he is. I don't think Bakram Murtazawa, he hasn't shown me, when you look at Bakram's resume, he really hasn't shown me anything to, I think what Bakram Murtazawa is doing is healing from injuries. You know, people are like creating this narrative like he's this boogeyman, like he's this spooky character based off of a really low IQ game plan and his outcome versus Tim Tszyu. But I think that Josh Kelly gives him problems. I think Josh Kelly's size gives him problems. His speed, his awkwardness, his reflexes. Josh Kelly could crack. So I don't buy into the. I'm like, if Murtazawa goes out there and this fight gets scheduled and he knocks Josh Kelly out, then I'll be like, oh shit, bad read on my end. But I'm not quick. I'm not one of these guys jumping off the edge of my seat to say Bakram Murtazawa is that dude at 54. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some really good guys at 54 that I think that would really give Bakram Murtazawa a hard time. And so they're doing their best to market him. I know he has that boogeyman factor, but I mean, his best win really hasn't aged that well. You know what I'm saying? I'll cover this one more time. I'll give you my. I'm gonna end brief because I got we've been on live for 53 minutes. It's 7:30 a.m. my time. I have a client downstairs in about an hour, 8:45, and then I have a live stream. Guys, I'm going live in 3 hours with TJ from Chilltown Boxing. In 3 hours on my channel, we're going to be breaking down all the fights. I also want to let you know, if you're just tapping in now, TJ, if you don't know who he is, he's a handicapper, sharp better. This guy on Twitter, I mean, Turkey Al-Sheikh follows him on Twitter. And so the dude knows his boxing. He's a really low-key cat, but I respect his opinion. He's been in the game just as long as I've been in the game. And we haven't spoke this week. This is important. Sometimes when I go on other live streams, I kind of feel handcuffed to agree with everybody. I think our best work as analysts and commentators and fans, and my biggest gift that I could give to you guys if you're putting your money on the fights, is how I'm always authentic. So TJ and I'm sure we're not going to agree on every fight. There's no way him and I are agreeing on every fight. But during our live stream, we're going to break them down. I'm going to say where I'm putting my money. He's going to say where he's putting his money. We're going to give logical reasoning why. And I just want to aforemention, it's not like I know who he's taking. I think that's important. Sometimes on live streams, you see a bunch of just kind of echo chambery stuff happening. Everybody on the live is loving one guy, the other, and they're not giving any film study either. If I ever bring anyone on my live stream moving forward, by the way, you guys could expect that they know what they're talking about, that they know how the fight game works, and they're not just coming on just because they're my friends. Everybody I've been on live with, I met through here. So I've never. It's a pretty cool thing about the internet. My kid needed his diaper changed. I rewatched the video. Tyler, even if he knocks out Kelly, I'm still not high on him. Kelly's all right. Yeah, Kelly is waiting. Kelly's waiting for that. Kelly needs that signature win, guys. TJ's live streams are the business. Yeah, and we'll that Discord is a gift. Guys, listen to Boxing Fans. Sign up to the Discord. 14 cents a day, baby. It's pinned in the comment section below. For 14 cents a day, you could feed a starving kid in Sydney, Australia. You can also join our professional boxing betting Discord and become a member of our awesome growing community, which is 100% factual. Our Discord's popping. My favorite thing about the Discord changes it week to week. Currently, I've been really busy. So my favorite thing is that, you know, everybody in that Discord keeps it 100. Everybody keeps it copacetic. Nobody's acting childlike, and I don't have to moderate or mediate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna lock this up. Any other questions right now? Any other questions about a fight? You guys got any? And if you don't, I'll leave it. I'll let it. We got 40 people in this joint still. So like this. Dangerous combo for the books. Jake Bellinger, my guy. Yeah, so make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. I'll give it about another minute. If anybody drops something about an upcoming fight. It's crazy to me that Shukachin's fighting this weekend. Nobody knows about. Victor Postol is still fighting. He's fighting this weekend. No one knows about. The big one for me is Yenli Hernandez. How is Yenli Hernandez not getting promoted? How is he not on one of these cards? You know what I mean? Because isn't there a card in? Is there a Hollywood or like one of those Long Beach cards? Johnny, what I thought. Your thoughts on Antonio Delica de Filippa? Is that going on this week? Let me check my books, see if I have it. I'll have to get back to you with that, Andresa. Appreciate your support, Andresa, on the live stream. Ask me that question. Let me double check real quick. De Filippo. I'm not sure if yeah, I'd have to look more into that matchup. But I'll write it down. They just added a fight, guys, on our books for Tuesday. I guess there's fights in Japan. Yinya Yamaguchi versus Kantaro Yuri. But here's the last one I'm gonna take. This is it for me, and then I'm out of here. Because I like this question. And we're getting closer and closer, and we're gonna pull up the odds. Adam Arciola asks, can Thurman knock out Fundora? Let's look at the current odds on that real quick. We'll pull up the odds. We'll talk about it. I think it's a fun fight. I think it's a fun question. I think that I got to be honest with you, Adam. In my opinion, I think Sebastian Fundora is probably the most underrated world champion. I think I don't know why. I don't know why he's not a superstar. I think you guys in America have a 6'6" knockout artist world champion who's under the age of 30. And you guys, this kid should be a superstar. It's so why he is everything what's great about boxing. You know, he fights like a savage in the ring. He is relentless in the ring. He fights like a true warrior, a true soldier. You know, a guy who's 6'6", 6'5" with that reach and length. He should be fighting on the outside. Every coach, I guarantee his whole life, his pops, Seb, fight on the outside. No, that dude, he can't fight on the outside, meaning that it's not in him. He has to be in a dogfight. How do you not cheer for that? And then you mix that with, you know, his personality outside of the ring. He's like he reminds me of like a librarian or like a law professor, that sort of thing. You mix that with his, you know, devotion to the game, devotion to his family. His sister Gabby will be the face of boxing, women's boxing for the next decade, barring injury, barring any sort of accident. Gabby Fundora for the next decade will be the face of women's boxing. How are these two not being uplifted? I know Golden Boy, they're doing their best, but I'm talking on the mainstream. And, you know, Seb seems like a guy that doesn't really care about that, which makes him, in my eyes, even more sort of admirable. He doesn't seem like he's not a guy who's going to get on a live stream and talk about his tweets and talk about calling guys out. This dude just wants to fight. So to answer your question, can Thurman knock out Fundora? I'm taking Fundora to knock out Thurman. That's as quiet. That's what I'm going to say. So I'm going to get out of here. 3 hours live stream with TJ. I appreciate the support. Everybody in the chat, like it, subscribe, come to the Discord. Links in the comment section below. You guys are beasts. Favorite part of my day. You guys. Thank you.